Okay, hello. I'm resurrecting this channel for a big end of the year video. So I know that this is Real Human Books, but I also want to talk about various other media today. I'm going to save the books for last since that's kind of the big one. So let's go ahead and start with, I guess we can start with the video games. I don't have much to say because honestly, guys, I did not play as much. A couple of them I played extensively, but that kind of overshadowed, right, the rest of them. Didn't really get to finish some of these. I'm putting them on the list anyways because frankly, I'm kind of don't have a lot for my top 10. These are all top 10s. I'm going to do video games, albums, movies, then I'll talk about the books. All right? So for video games, it was a pretty good year, I would say. I actually went to the Game Awards, I always do, and to the surprise of no one, Claire Obscure swept. I was going to put that as an honorable mention because I have not beaten the game. I'm actually not very far into it at all, but again, I'm kind of pressed for a top 10. So for that reason, it will surely be higher up, but Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is my number 10. It's very good starts. Unfortunately, I'm still on chapter one, guys. I can't say too much about it. I know there's some controversy about the use of AI or whatever. Look, from what I understand, it was something they did months before the game was finalized. They ended up replacing it. It was mostly just placeholder stuff. There, to me, that is using AI the way it should be used as a tool, as a proof of concept, rather than an actual product. I don't see an issue with that. Same thing is happening with Larian. They said that about Baldur's Gate and Divinity. I think that's the right way to do it, and I think that it's here no matter what, guys. And if you're not using it wisely, then you're just gonna really be behind. So that's my number 10. Number 9, it is cheating. This is a bundle of a collection of older games, but it is the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 is my number 9 game of the year. This was a release I was anticipating a lot because it actually has a lot of my favorite Capcom fighting party games. They're kind of going out of the traditional fighting game with this one. It's got Power Stone 1 and 2, which I like a lot. I mean, I was emulating the Dreamcast versions on my Steam Deck. Now I don't have to do that. I have this nice port of them. What I will say, I think I'm in the minority that I much prefer Power Stone 1 over 2. 2, I know it has the 4 players, it has the stage gimmicks, but it's not as good. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It also has one of the most underrated games ever, Project Justice, so really happy that's getting more exposure. It's got Capcom versus SNK. I mean, it's a great collection of underrated games, and if you're kind of sick of just playing Street Fighter or King of Fighters over and over, I would recommend Capcom Fighting 2. It's very good. Okay, number 8 was a surprise. It was a shadow drop, and it's Koei Tecmo's Warriors Abyss. This is their take on the Vampire Survivors type genre, and it's a lot of fun. It's janky and it's kind of shallow, but I did put quite a bit of time into it, and I just wish it had more variety. But I played it a lot while I was being driven around and on vacation, and it's just a really good game for the Steam Deck for that. So if you're looking for like a time waster game, I know Mega Bonk is probably better. I didn't play it, but yeah, Warriors Abyss. If you like Chinese Japanese history, it's just a fun turn your brain off game. Okay, so next is number, oh my gosh, I'm losing track already. 10, 9, 8. Yeah, number 7 would be Elden Ring Night Rain. This was another kind of surprise, and there was a lot of mystery. Like, what is this? It's kind of like a boss rush of sorts, and it even has previous Dark Souls bosses. It's got the Gaping Dragon. It's got the Nameless King. Ultimately, what this is it a cash grab? Yeah, kind of, but it's pretty fun. It is frustrating, and I did not really play as much of it as I wanted to, especially due to the lack of crossplay, guys. Why is that still an issue? You know, it's the year 2025 and we still don't have universal crossplay. It's just insane to me. So most of my friends had this on PlayStation. I had it on PC, and it is an interesting experience. I think it distills the experience of Elden Ring really well into about half an hour or 40 minutes or what have you. It is very frustrating though. I feel like the sense of progression is not as explicit as other roguelikes, but it's a unique roguelike and I have to give it that. So that is my number 7. Number 6, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. This is my fighting game of the year. This is so much fun, guys. I'm a huge fan of Garo Mark of the Wolves. I think that was like the one of the hallmarks of the classic age of fighting games. So to have basically an updated version of that with a pretty great roster, it's pretty great, guys. I mean, I know people joke about, Ronaldo being in it, but it's a great roster. I mean, Andy plays so well. I'm an Andy main. He kind of reminds me of Chip from Guilty Gear. That's a good comparison. We got, Street Fighter. We got Ken and Chun-Li. Chun-Li is, like, I like Chun-Li in Street Fighter. She's a little weird in this game just because the way she controls is a little different. But it's a lot of fun. It's very underrated. I wish this game had more pull. And I wish I had more people to play it with. It would be higher otherwise. Okay. Next, number. Oh gosh, I kind of messed up my ranking, so I'm kind of forgetting already the 9, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. I think this is number 5, right? Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. They did it, guys. They did it. There was a lot of doubt over this game, I think, because it was, it's an anticipated title, and there was a lot of negative press about it. Nintendo was being kind of hush hush, and development restarted. Then we had the frankly very unfunny character Miles McKenzie. I don't know. It's gotten to the point where I can kind of joke about how bad he is. And anyways, it's a lot of fun, guys. I mean, it captured that Metroid Prime charm in a way I really wanted. So, but I haven't beaten it yet, so that's why it's a little lower. Number 4. These are the games that I actually played a lot of now. So this is like a strong list. Number 4 is Monster Hunter Wilds. I wish this would be higher, but I'm going to be honest, guys. The story mode is horrible, and I hate that it takes so long. I had friends that I bought the game for that dropped it during the story mode, and they never even got to play with me because it's so slow and so stupid. It's just them pandering to the Western audience and making it kind of cinematic. That's not why I played Monster Hunter, everyone. That said, it does get better, and once you're actually in the game, it is very fun. So that's Monster Hunter Wilds. Number 3 is kind of a surprise because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like the original that much, guys. And number 3 is Kirby Air Riders. Sakurai did it. I mean, this is such a great game. It's insane. It's one of the most insane multiplayer games you will ever play. I mean, I put this on at parties, and I see my friends, their eyes just roll into the back of their heads, and they're just like, what is this? They're so confused and overwhelmed and overstimulated. It's so much fun, guys. It's a game that made me happy, really happy to have a Switch 2. And yeah. Number 2 would be my number 1 in any other year is Death Stranding 2. I felt like Death Stranding 2 didn't have the drive that Death Stranding 1 had. I felt like 1, there was a lot of mystery and a lot of hype, and 2, it didn't really have that. I mean, it's an amazing game, and I do love it a lot. I do acknowledge, though, that it is, in some ways, a safe sequel. It's essentially kind of the first game, but better, right? Which is not really what I typically go to Kojima games for. I mean, that said, I mean, it is an amazing game. I mean, the gameplay is pretty much perfected. I would say it's honestly a little too perfect. I miss some of the jank from DS1, and it's a little too easy. But the story is excellent. The ending, in typical Kojima fashion, is very, very good. And I think it might be a good thing people don't talk about it much because I think they might be waiting for the PC release. And the story is very great, and it goes in directions you don't expect in typical Kojima fashion. So that's my number 2. Number 1 is, come on, guys, it's Hades 2. I mean, this is just an incredible, incredible game. It's a sequel where it's just the first one but better. But Hades 1 was my game of the year when that came out. It's one of my few coveted 10 out of 10s, and Hades 2 is another 10 out of 10. I mean, the ludonarrative as well as the gameplay loop in Hades 2 is just, it's perfected. These games, Supergiant, that this is why I love gaming, and this is why I still trust the industry, is for independent companies like this to put everything into their dream, their passion, and do I wish they made another game and not Hades 2? Maybe, but it's an incredible game. It's perfectly well made, perfectly acted, perfect presentation, perfect gameplay. It is a perfect gaming experience. So that's it for video. Okay, so wow, almost perfectly 10 minutes. I forgot to mention Pokemon Legends EA, honorable mention. It is a lot of fun. Anyways, now we're going to music. This will be really quick, guys, I promise. So honorable mention actually first, Low Roar, House in the Woods. And this is the posthumous release for Low Roar, and it is very good. It's got some really great songs that I'm very happy are featured on DS2. However, it feels a little unfinished. And I think that was inevitable, and it does make the album much more heartbreaking. Okay, so number 10, Geese Getting Killed. Geese is a very entertaining to watch band. I mean, they've grown so much, and I really think they've got a big career ahead of them. I liked this album a lot. I liked it less than 3D Country, but this is the album that's putting them on the map, so I'm grateful for that. Number 9 is Oneotrix Point Never's Tranquilizer. This is the guy who composed Uncut Gems and Good Time, and he's incredible. I mean, Tranquilizer is a great release. If you like that kind of Dreamcast aesthetic, you can't go wrong with that one. Number 8, Deafheaven came back strong with Lonely People with Power. I would say this is their best release since Sunbather easily. The band really fell off, and I didn't trust them enough to release an album this good. But they did it. They finally dropped the black metal pretense they were kind of chasing to focus more on this black gaze kind of sound. The lyric game is really good. It deals with very uncomfortable subjects in a way that feels very genuine and not sappy or exploitative. I really like the lyrics inspired by William Randolph Hearst. It does a good job at conveying a loneliness that comes with ego. It's very good. Number 7, Huremic Seeking Darkness. This is apparently a side project for a prolific Korean artist that I don't know about. I apologize. But as its own thing, it is a very great piece of post-rock. Number 6 is Nina Jirachi's I Love My Computer. This is one of the ones I listen to the most, actually. It would be higher, but I feel like the album kind of has an amazing flow, and then it kind of loses that flow. But the individual songs are all very strong, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun, guys. This is probably, I would say, the most fun album on this list. Number 5, McKinley Dixon, Magic Alive. This is a brilliant rap opera. It's full of wit, charm, as well as empathy. It's got a good use of free-form jazz and rap. It tells this cool magic realist story about these kids trying to bring their friend to life, and it does a really good job about getting trauma and not trying to lock it away or hide it, but to kind of embrace it and look at the bright side of life. Number 4, Horse Girl, Phonetics On and On. This is a big throwback sound to the kind of heyday of jangle pop, artists like the Sundays and such, and it's just great. It's really great. It's pretty much every track is really great, and it's catchy, it's sweet, a little melancholic. Like, it's got everything you want in a jangle pop album. Number 3, Clips came back finally with Let God Sort 'Em Out. This is a brilliant, one of the most long-awaited albums, I would say. Clips is back, and they've really lost nothing. It's so good. Everything in it is cranked up to the maximum. There's great features, there's great disses, very biting lyrics that weave both anger and sorrow together in a way that is undeniably Clips. Number 2, you would think would be number 1 if you knew me, is Swans, with what appears to be maybe their final release, or at the very least their final big sound, as they say, release, Birthing. Swans, they're my favorite active band, and I will say they kind of reached their peak with the Glowing Man, but Birthing definitely it feels like a monstrous afterbirth of their peak. It's one of their scariest and angriest albums, but it also ends on a very somber and beautiful note. It has some of their best material ever, with tracks like Rope Away, or I really like The Merge, especially watching that live. The Merge is really great. I know it's kind of a mixed reception for some, but you know, it also has a rather unique material for them with tracks like Red Yellow and Guardian Spirit. They're kind of playing back into the neo folk sound that they had more so in the 90s. Your mileage will vary with them, but I was able to appreciate them for what they were. What brings down Birthing from being one of their best releases is I'm sorry, guys. I Am a Tower was the big single from this, and I'm just not in love with it. I've tried. To listen to it so many times. I don't think it justifies its length because after all that build up, it just kind of turns into a riff of David Bowie's Heroes. Now, I love David Bowie's Heroes. I think that's one of the best riffs ever by Robert Fripp, but it's just not what I wanted out of that song, and especially from Swans. But it's still just a very great album. Number one, very surprising. This is a new listen for me. Is a Chilean band named Candelabro with their release Deseo, Carne y Voluntad. This is a flashbang of a masterpiece. I think it should be considered generation defining, guys. And it's a crime it's not getting talked about much. Probably, honestly, I'm going to say just because it's Spanish language, it's incredible. It's a post-rock epic, and it's so rich in energy and emotion. It captures the whole human experience while also being very explicitly about Chile. You know, I don't want to say more, because honestly, you owe it to yourself to experience this, truly. Even if you're not from a Latin American background, it'll resonate with you in some way. I promise. Just take time to look at the lyrics, and you will be rewarded with such a luscious and dense album in every sense of those words that, like, while it is long, track by track, it just is, it never overstays its welcome, and it really is one of the best post-rock releases I've had the pleasure of listening to. Okay, that was a little shorter, yay. Movies. Okay, I didn't watch as many movies as I usually do. I mean, I did. I watched way more than I usually do, actually. In fact, if I consult the good old Letterboxd, yeah, I've watched 208 this year. However, most of those are not 2025 releases. I've kind of been Tubi maxing and finding a lot, frankly, better stuff there than a lot of stuff that's being released now. But I got some honorable mentions still. So honorable mentions, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Technically, this doesn't get a wide release until 2026. You definitely need to check it out. It's Gore Verbinski, one of my favorite directors. He's back with a really great anti-AI film, and it's just bizarre. I mean, it's like Terminator for weirdos. The best way I can describe it. Final Destination Bloodlines. Big Final Destination fan. This was a movie made for me. I loved the lore. I loved the kills. It was just a lot of fun. And The Long Walk just barely lost the cut on this list. I loved The Long Walk, and I'll talk more about The Long Walk later, in fact. Number 10, Friendship. This is a Tim Robbins, Paul Rudd, sort of weird anti-comedy, but it hit for me. Connor O'Malley has one of the funniest scenes of the year right there. Number 9, The Naked Gun remake with Liam Neeson. A lot of fun. I'm really happy we're getting movies like that again. Number 8, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. A really great conclusion. Loved it. Number 7 is going to make some people mad, is The War of the Worlds, the Amazon War of the Worlds with Ice Cube. I loved this movie. It was so stupid. It was so brilliant. It was so much fun to watch with my friends. I just had a smile on my face. I was just constantly in awe at how horrible it was. I mean, man, yeah. Number 6, Chainsaw Man, Reze arc. This was a near perfect adaptation of one of my favorite arcs of Chainsaw Man, and it was just so well done. I'm happy that it stuck more to the manga because I did not like how the season 1 of Chainsaw Man looked. Just was not the aesthetic that I wanted. Number 5, One Battle After Another. Paul Thomas Anderson, of course, he makes the top 5. This was a brilliant film. It's controversial, pushes buttons on both the left and the right. I know I've heard quite a few people on both sides not like the movie, but I think people are focusing too much on the politics because the film is not really about that. The film is kind of warning about the danger of becoming radicalized no matter what side you're on, and letting your ideology get in the way of what is right in front of you, right? Like your family. This is ultimately a very strong family oriented film. Doesn't mean it's for families, okay? But seeing this on VistaVision at the Vista Theater was great. I also saw Kill Bill there. I know some people are putting Kill Bill on this list. I'm not. Technically, that is an old film. I know there's some new stuff in it. I'm not. It's not on the list, guys, okay? Otherwise, it'd be number one, okay? Number four, this is a film that has not been released yet, but I got to see it at Beyond Fest, is The Furious by Kenji Tanigaki. This is a pan-Asian kung fu epic. This movie is awesome, guys, and I don't want to talk about it too much since it's, again, not released yet. Not many people have seen it, but whenever it comes out, you gotta watch it. I mean, it is, that last act is like why they make martial arts films. It is one of the best, for sure. Number three, 28 years later. This is my favorite looking film of the year. It was actually lower on my list, but I've been reminiscing on it and I bumped it higher. I was kind of waiting for Bone Temple to see how this would stack at the end, but I couldn't resist, guys. I love this film. I love this film so much. This is one of the boldest films I've seen this year, for sure. Just the way it looks, the way it feels, the story, the graphicness of it. I mean, I'm just shocked we got something like this. I mean, it's one of those legacy sequels that has a reason to exist because they needed to push the boundaries and they needed to reinvent the genre, and they did, guys. 28 years later is incredibly done, incredibly shot. The formalism, the brutality of it all is just incredible. Number two is my most watched film this year, is Weapons by Zach Cregger. Was a slam dunk for me. It's not for everyone, but it was for me. Weapons came out pretty early this year, I think, and it stuck around. It stuck around this whole time. This is one of the freshest horror films I've seen, and it's just incredibly acted, incredibly shot. That finale is why they make films. And number one is Avatar: Fire and Ash by James Cameron. Just barely flying in here. I've seen it twice already and planning on seeing it a third time. Saw it in Dolby, saw it in IMAX. I love Avatar, and while this one is, I would say, not my favorite, that's still The Way of Water. This is a great film. It's very ambitious, and it takes, while it does kind of retread some material, it also throws in a lot of new great stuff, and Stephen Lang carries this film along with Una Chaplin as the villains. They are amazing. I love these films. This is like, these films feel like the last bastion of like these high concept original epics, also kind of like in a weird way like biblical, like, you know, Ten Commandments-esque Cecil B. DeMille epics. Like, it really is that powerful and that big. And yeah, those are my movies. So without further ado, moving on to books. So for the books, I'm only counting new reads. Okay, so unfortunately, Star Trek Troopers, you're not making the list. I'm sorry. The new reads, and I'm only counting finished books. I am about halfway through King of Sorrow. I would love to talk about it and put it on here, but for now, it's just an honorable mention. Okay, because yeah, I've read 51 books, a little more than 20,000 pages read. So I narrowed it down to 10. But yeah, so honorable mentions, I mentioned already King Sorrow. I also want to mention The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I'm actually going to reread this. I did the Kickstarter. I backed it for the new First Law trilogy, Leatherbound, so very excited to get those. But I liked it a lot. I didn't love it. I was a little confused just because it was so differently written than other fantasy. But I liked it for that. And it's got good characters. Vampire Hunter D, Volume 1 is an honorable mention. Want to read more of those for sure. Burning Chrome by William Gibson. This is the year I finally read Gibson. While none of his work made the list, I do like him a lot. I promise I will check out Neuromancer next year. Last honorable mention I want to say is a visual novel, actually, and that is Full Metal Damon Muramasa. Now, I did just finish one of the routes yesterday night, but I haven't done the whole thing, guys, and so that's why it's not on the list. Number 10, Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This was a really fun read. It's got great character. It's got a cool magic system. I really like the concept of using colors and breath. It's really great. I could see this doing really well as like a Broadway musical. It's just so full of life and energy. I will say that what keeps it down on the list is the ending is a little strange. And as I read through Stormlight Archive, I kind of see, oh, that's why he ended it like that. It doesn't end with the big Sanderlanche you might be used to, and that's because Warbreaker kind of exists more to set up other things, unfortunately. But it does stand well on its own. It is a great read and is number 10. Number 9 is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. I did not think I would like this book, and at first I didn't, but I grew to really like it. It's got a unique style to it. I'm still not big on the whole progression fantasy thing, but Dungeon Crawler Carl does enough different. The world is genuinely pretty interesting. The characters are fun, and I will eventually continue the series. I'm still on book 3, but things got in the way. Okay. Number 8, The Will of the Many. I know this was a lot of people's favorite book of the year when it came out, and I read The Strength of the Few as well this year, and I am gonna say, guys, I liked Will of the Many more. And even then, I didn't love this book that much. Guys, I'm sorry. Like, I don't get it. I really don't. They're good books. They're pretty good books. These are not new at all. At all. I'm sorry. Like, I've heard people say, oh, the Roman setting is... No, guys, Red Rising already did that. Like, what are we talking about? Now, I don't mean to knock it down just because I like Red Rising a lot more. It's not that. It's also just the magic school system, the first person narration. I mean, guys, this stuff that we've seen before. What did people read that they thought this was a game changer, that they thought this was a #1 book? I don't get it. But that all said, it is still good. It's good, guys, okay? Strength of the Few, not as so, because it just was too fractured. It didn't fully develop parts well, especially the Celtic kind of Viking part was not developed well. Did not care about the characters there. Anyways, moving on from there, number 7 is the new Bound of the Broken book of Empires and Dust. I really wish this was higher on the list. I did fly through this very quickly. I was really blessed and honored to be an advanced reader for Ryan Cahill. And while this has some of the coolest stuff in the series, especially the way it ends very strong, guys. It ends so well, actually. But it's so damn long. It's so long, and frankly, I feel like Cahill, great guy, you know, but I feel like he just can't say no sometimes, and I think that the fans, they keep wanting more and more, and then Cahill just keeps giving us more and more, and it's like, dude, you can trim it a bit. There are a lot of monologues, I'm not kidding, that go on for an entire page of like an uninterrupted paragraph, at least on the digital copy. And it's like, dude, like, you can trim it. I'm sorry. There's certain characters in this that I'm just like, I don't need to hear this point of view. And that's a shame, because book 3, I felt like perfected it. I felt like book 3 is as good as it gets. And book 4 is very good. Cahill's a very talented writer. I just felt like it was too much. It was too much, guys. But again, it ends very well. Especially Riss' plotline is really finally starting to get really good, and we get some great moments with Dan. Finally, some stuff I've been waiting the whole series for happens in this book. So just for that reason, you know, It is definitely worth the read despite the length. Number 6 is kind of a, I guess, hot take. It is Rhythm of War. That is book 4 of the Stormlight Archive. I had a friend of mine that really hated this book, and I really loved it. I thought that it was moving and different for the genre. I actually quite liked that it was mostly in one location. Now, that being said, there is stuff I care less about. The stuff in the Spren realm is not as interesting, but there's some cool stuff going on there. I'll kind of talk more about Stormlight later. I'm going to leave it at that. Number 5, Stephen King's The Long Walk. I read quite a few of his Bachman books, but this one is by far the best one. Okay, it tells a really brutal, dark story, and the movie did an excellent job adapting it. Excellent job. This is a tough read, but it's also a very quick read, and definitely worth checking out. Number 4, I am very happy to have a first edition of The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch by Philip K. Dick. Wow, this is one of the most unique books you will ever read. It's definitely PKD at its most unhinged, and it was very ahead of its time. It kind of tells the story about the Earth has become really hot and unbearable, and so people are evolving themselves to become more like insectoids to take the heat. But that's not even the main focus, guys. That's a tidbit. The main focus is people are using escapism to go. They take drugs to enter these doll houses called Perky Pats. And that, just kidding, guys. That's also just kind of a tidbit. The real thing that this book is about this drug war between a supposed prophet named Palmer Eldritch, who may or may not be an emissary from aliens, who promises a new perfect escapism in the drug Chu-Z. And when you take Chu-Z, it's like basically you're stuck in another reality. And this is it's crazy stuff, guys. It's crazy, but it's entertaining from beginning to end. You will find something to latch onto in this because PKD really does it all here. Number 3 is Project Hail Mary. I have a great broken binding edition of this, but it's in my classroom. But this was my first Andy Weir book. I read it because I'm excited for the movie coming out, and this is such a great story, and I think it's going to make such a great film. It's a powerful, powerful story about the indomitable human spirits, about communication, about duty, really. It's incredible. And the bond between the protagonist and Rocky, I'm going to be a little vague in case you don't know, but it's so good, and it's as well written as it could be, I think. Number 2 is another PKD story, Ubik. So Ubik is probably my favorite PKD book. It's definitely the most, I don't want to say concise, I guess focused. It tells a really great story. It's a genre bender, it's a mind bender. I felt like Inception kind of took a lot from Ubik, but it's basically about a heist, not a heist, but like a mission that goes wrong, horribly wrong, and everyone starts to realize that it's like the whole world around them is regressing into an earlier state. And so as the story goes on, it kind of loses its cyberpunk aesthetic, and as it goes farther and farther back in time, the question is like, what is happening? So I won't spoil it. Ubik is quite a trip, not quite to the degree of Mr. Palmer Eldritch here, but Palmer Eldritch is much more ambitious, but it's also a little harder to follow. Ubik is a page turner. So my number 1 is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is my favorite Stormlight Archive book by far, and I hate to say it, I think the series kind of peaked early here. I think there's a lot of character and concept in this book that just kind of never got better, specifically Shallan. This is the best Shallan ever was, and I don't like the direction Sanderson chose to put her through, but in this book, she's very, very great. The Ghostbloods storyline with her at first was kind of losing me, but it comes around at the end, and I know that Sanderson's really building up the Ghostbloods. He's writing that Mistborn series about them, so I'm excited to check that out. This has the best moment in the whole series. It's Kaladin and Adolin inside of the arena. Usually I read to wind down going to bed. When I read that part, I got so excited. I just stood up, and I was so excited. It took me longer to go to bed because of that. That's how good it was. That's how good Words of Radiance really is. And honestly, I wish I could just tell people read this. This is one of the best fantasy books you'll ever read. But you do need to read Way of Kings, and kind of do have to go into the other ones. And Warbreaker I was not a fan of. I do think Rhythm of War is great, but it does actually have some of those issues I was saying that Words of Radiance did not have. I think this is a near perfect book. I think in terms of sequels, this is one of the best out there. In terms of just like facelifting the world, the characters, the story went in such a great direction on Words of Radiance, and I know I'm late to the party, guys, but I see why it's so highly praised. So those are my 10 books. That's my book of the year, Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. Next year, I'm planning a lot of stuff. I'm planning on hopping on Rift War Saga by Raymond E. Feist. I'm planning for visual novels, getting through Muv-Luv, getting through the book series Skycrawlers, First Law. I mean, I've got a lot planned, and I feel like kind of got back into reading a lot this year. Got a lot better with managing my time, managing my work. So really excited. Thank you all for listening to me ramble for almost 40 minutes now. Wow. That's all. Have a good year.